Hey, welcome back to another episode from Life for Living Well. I hope you're well. My name is Richard. Before I dive into the topic that I have for us this week, I'd like to quickly say if you do like to receive my weekly mailing or regarding the article that I publish out, please sign up on the website to be the part of the mailing list that will be able to push out the article out to your email. And this article is free, so you are not being charged or using your email for the marketing purposes. I do say that if you also would like to know more about this community, you can find it out on our website at www.lifeforlivingwell.com. If you also think you can contribute to this community one or two way, please let your view and feedback be known through the website and we will be able to get back to you. So let's dive into it as part of our continuous series that we started 2 weeks ago about travel solo or travel alone and the benefit and the advantage of travel more. And even though you don't have you get to a point that your life has changed and you travel with your friends or family, you can still bring something back from the travel alone. And its main purpose of this episode that dedicated time for it is purely to encourage us to take up travel as a tool of personal growth. And if you're just looking like that, it's no longer about bragging about where we've been or what resources we have to use to get there. So let's dive into it. As we normally do in this podcast is to take one individual quote, and because the word and their quote is so inspiring and is in line with the message we're trying to push out. So this week I will be taking from Alain Ducasse. So the French might pronounce it a different way because it's a French individual. So Alain Ducasse. And he put it this way: it is impossible to remain indifferent. And maybe before I even use Alain quote is to actually remind you that the topic for this week is purely about Japan. So last week we looked into the Denmark, and this week we jump back to the Asian giants. So we look into 5 things being in Japan will teach you. So, and if you just focus on these 5 things and you can bring these 5 things into your own personal life, you will be so amazed how your life can tremendously improve and change in the period of 1 year, 2 years, and you will be able to see the impact that change will make into your life. So back to Alain Ducasse. Quotations about Japan. So he been there, his observation about the culture, about the people. So he put it this way: it is impossible to remain indifferent to Japanese culture. It is a different civilization where all you have learned must be forgotten. It is a great intellectual challenge and gorgeous sensual experience. Alain was absolutely right. Only if you've been there and you spend time there, you will understand why he concluded his own observation about the country, the culture, and the people. So, mostly these podcasts will focus on lessons from Japan. And it's more than just a visit. So, and I'm going to start from my own personal experience or being traveled in the country and living in the country, being there for 20 days. So before I arrived in Japan, I had read extensively. I've watched many movies about the country. And as a result, I had an imagined version of Japan in my mind that is cover the people, the culture, and the way of life. Was I wrong? Oh boy, I was. My experience went far beyond anything I had read or expected. Often, judging a book by its cover can be misleading, but truly engaging with it brings unexpected enlightenment. And my own journey started from the airport. Immediately, I left the airport, went to take a service train, and then changed from the service train to the subway train into my hotel. It was a breathtaking experience. It was like I was in a total universe from the world that I was used to. So I absorbed every moment like a sponge. Before embarking on this trip, I had carefully documented the regions of Japan I wanted to explore, the castles I want to see, the various modes of transportations I want to experience. I just don't want to travel by road alone. I want to use the train. I want to travel by the sea. I want to travel by the air. I want to be able to use the cab and the public transports. The food and the people. I want to speak to mostly the people, because you cannot be in a country for 20 days or go on a visit and pretend to absorb the country compared to the people that actually live there. But the way you do this thing as a researcher is to engage with the people that actually live in the country. So my intentions were vivid. I was so clear about what I want to achieve. My aim, my intention was clear before I embarked to it. I wasn't go there to lie in the beach or sit in the hotel. That's not my mission. My mission is to explore, to experience, to consume, to absorb the country. And I know I have a limited time, and I want to make the best use of those times. So I needed to collaborate, engaging with others. I even do a sparaband documented like a university project of each region, things I want to do, place I want to stay. And I also create a space for spontaneity. As much as I'm intentional about my stuff, the great traveler is the one that has no direction or no destination, says according to the Chinese philosopher. But I also want to accommodate that by having one hand 80% of my trip well planned, well intentional, and well focused on what I want to achieve. And I also left 20% for spontaneity. Oh gosh, I get lost in one of these Japan studio that is meant for games. And I say all kind of tools, and people are play games on the phone. I think something called Pokemon games. Forgive me if I didn't pronounce the name properly. But it's something that was so popular at the time. It was a kind of game that's so popular that came out of Japan. And when I went to Universal Studio in Japan, it was like I was in the science fiction. So my journey, which began in Osaka, it did not end in Osaka. It extended far beyond to Kyoto, Kobe, Nagoya, Okayama, Tokyo, and beyond for over the 20 days. I met total strangers who became friends, conversed with locals, and even robots in coffee shops. Navigated cultural and linguistic differences. Some miscommunications, which is so hilarious at the time because you end up ordering for wrong food for breakfast, something that you should have gone for the lunch. But because the noodles, you mix the noodle soup as only the Japanese, and the Japanese told you that actually no, you pick it in supermarket, this is actually Chinese cuisine. Until they invited you to their home and they actually give you a proper Japanese cuisine and you can see the difference. Or you just finished the food and you just finished eating and you came out of the restaurant. As you're walking along the street, the group of the restaurants, on the window decoration, there is a 3D image of a food that look like a real food. And you start asking yourself, why can't I try this one as well? So this is the imagination, creativity, and resourcefulness that it will become blinded with it. And sometimes you have to choose what to have right now and what to delay for later. So beyond Japan's science fiction like advancement, I want to focus on the human element, the connections and behaviors I observe that could enrich our own lives. So here are 5 lessons Japan might teach you. And if you have not been there, but you always think you will be there, when you go there, watch out for these 5 things as well. So number 1, respect for tradition and rituals. Sometimes I will leave my hotel and I will go walk in the city and I will stay in front of the castle. Sometimes a ministry, and what I always say will surprise you. I will see people going to their work and they will stay in front of the castle or monastery and bow down their head for 1 minute meditation. Before I went to Japan, I used to think that if you meditate for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, it's not a meditation. But when I saw that in Japan, observing people taking 1 minute and then carry on with their life, I see the simplicity of the country. I see the freedom that people have. And I question myself that why did I think like only if I spend 1 hour, 30 minutes, that's when I catch up with my brain. So I can take 1 minute for my walk today because of that experience from Japan. I can lock my screen for 1 minute and I just pay attention to my breath, to my breathing. So Japan places a high value on tradition, and it starts from tea ceremonies, simple things like tea ceremonies, to seasonal celebrations. You will learn the significance of small things. Sometimes we feel like until we do something big, that's when we've done something. That's when you have impact. Even listening to your children, watching them playing should bring enormous joy to your life. Or reply the email to your friend, write a letter with your handwriting to appreciate people that be in your life. Small things like this, it actually makes a significant difference to all our own happiness and our heirs. So respectful gesture like bowing and importance of maintaining harmony. So Japanese will call it wa. So these rituals permit everyday life, whether in business, in social setting, and personal interactions. So when you make an effort to be intentional in what you're doing, to pay attention to the little thing, you have a tendency to create harmony among the team. So let me give you an example. I've been travel with different form of transportation. When I was in Japan, I've traveled by the sea, I've traveled by the air, I've traveled by the rail, I've used the public buses, and the only thing I have not used at that time, I think was number 15 days, is travel by the cab in Japan. So I was on the street budget. So I was decided that I do not want to spend more than $5 from the train station to my hotel. So I'm from the train station to my hotel. So I think I went to Kobe to see one of the castles there, a monastery, and I knew that okay, $5 should be enough for a cab to take me from the train station and drop me in the nearby hotel. So if I walk, it's only going to take me 5 minutes walk. So I approached a taxi rack in front of the train station. So I asked the first taxi guy, "Do you speak English?" And he shook his head, "No." So the one guy heard me and he said, yeah. And he asked me, "Where am I going?" And he asked, address. So I was carried away thinking like the man's actually speaking English. So and he took my address and I said, "Do you know this place?" And he said, yes. He shook his head again, but I didn't realize how limited English he has at the time. So, and I said, "You know the place? I can see the hotel behind the train station, but I really want to experience what is it like to be in a Japanese cab, taxi." So, and the guy put the address into his sat nav. And I thought to myself, why does he need sat nav? Because the hotel is behind the train station. So I thought maybe there is a loop on the road or ring road that is not just going to turn and just drive straight to the hotel. So he put the postcode and the guy, we left the train station and we just kept going. After 10 minutes, I began to worry because I'm on a street budget. The money in my wallet at that time was only cover my 2 days in Kobe that I went to, and I only just budget $5 for the cab. So the guy was just going, and 45 minutes later we arrived in front of one house and the guy said, "This is where you coming?" I said, "Okay, this is a residential home, I'm going to the hotel." And the guy said, yeah, this is the hotel. And I said, "No, this is not the hotel." And the guy went to the house, pressed the bell, and they speak Japanese to each other. And he came back to me and he said, "What is my name?" And I told him, and they said they didn't expect anybody so with that name. And I asked them, "Is this hotel?" And he did, and they said, "No, it's not the hotel." Because what another thing I find out that some hotel in Japan, they don't have a big board to tell you that it's an hotel. Especially if it's a 3-star or 2-star hotel, they don't really have a big board that you can see the visual from outside that this is an hotel. So the guy started jumping on the street. It was frustrating, but he didn't want me to say it. But I was sat beside, I was really angry. I sat behind at the back of the car, and I can see him on the street, losing his mind, approaching different people where he did. But he couldn't drop me on the road because it would be so unpolite. And you want to make sure that I get to where I'm going, but we are both lost and in wrong place. First is losing money, because every time I stay in his car, it means that he's not able to meet his own target for that day, and he's not able to pick another customer, and he cannot drop me. That is extreme politeness of Japan can come. So suddenly I burst to laugh because I was angry. I burst to laugh, and I said, so I went and I said, "Come, don't worry. Do me a favor. Can you drop me back into the train station where you picked me?" And he said, "Yes." So he took me, and we didn't talk to each other until, because when we left train station before, he was asking me a lot of questions. Why did I chose to come to visit Japan? And I was telling him my intentions and why I came to Japan. And so we just silent. And the moment we arrived to train station, it didn't. So I just said, okay. So I saw the reading at the time showing around $35 to $40, and I didn't have a budget for that. And if I do that, it means that my 2 days in Kobe will only just be 1 day, because I have to use one of the other day money to cover the expenses. So I want to meet the guy in the middle. My budget for the cab was $5. So I think I'm not sure. I think I have to pay him $25 out of $35 or $40. And I have to say that, look, I don't have a budget for this. So he collected it. He took my bag out from the back of the car, and he bowed his head and he said, "Arigato." So, and he left. And then I just walked 5 minutes to my hotel. So this is another way that it will be finding so difficult in another culture. It was so stressful for him. It was not good for him business-wise. But the mistake is lack of communication between us. So the postcode that he put in, he took into something different. I was so angry. Then I burst to laugh because I really feel for him. And the second experience of day is going to view a monastery, and the traffic cop was in front of that monastery. He said that is a new traffic cop that just graduated and has not accumulated all the local knowledge of the area. So I approached the traffic cop. I showed him a tourist guide of the monastery that I was going. And he looked at it, and he said to me that he doesn't know it. And he started apologizing by his head, and he started saying "Shanzai, Shanzai," which means apologize. So sorry. And he doesn't know, and you can say stress, and maybe he feel like he's supposed to know it. And literally, by the time I asked another people one more people on the road, because I always say, if you go to a place and you don't know the place very well, as the traffic cops, they probably will be able to know it better than the local themselves, because the local will only know the place if they use the place. You don't assume that because somebody lives in the area, they should know everything in the area. Many people are not though curious or exploring about where they live. So, and the guy told me that where I'm going is over there, and I can see it, and it was literally behind the police cops that are what our approach before. So what I'm trying to say is that yes, he apologized for not being helpful, and it's not his, to me, I don't say it's his fault, but it shows you how much respect, traditional rituals is so strong in Japan culture. Today, many society, many other cultures are so thin or weak to the point that they abandon it to what is popular. You can see when something is trending, everybody jump to the ship and do it. So you ask yourself, where's authenticity? Where's the people that are really sure of themselves and really know themselves and they can stand for what make them who they are? So number 2, the art of patience and discipline. Whether it is waiting in line, valuing punctuality, or handling small conveniences with grace. Japan teaches patience. If it's something that you yourself are not work on, maybe the way you relate to people, maybe most of the conflict with your family members or friends, this is the area that you might need to work on, because when you develop this particular area, it has a tendency to transition to other part of your life. Things run smoothly because of discipline, and even the smallest tasks are performed with care. You will say this in the train station. By the time you get to the train station, if your train is 9 a.m., you will start seeing the counting down for, I think, from 10 minutes to 9 or 5 minutes to 9. You start counting down exactly 9. The train will depart. It will arrive before then, but it will depart exactly 9 a.m. So you already know that if you can't make 9 a.m. train, you know the next schedule for the train that you can take. That efficiency. Another thing you notice that throughout my trip, I hardly find a road be repairing in the day. It's really difficult. I don't know whether that happened, but I have not seen a road work in the day. But however, going to the hotel at 3 a.m. in the morning, I see road work doing. I've seen people walking on the road, and the train service starts back at 5 or 6 in the morning. At that time, they already finish all the work they want to do on the train rack. So there's a seamless flow of operation in the country. So because in the night, you don't expect it to be so busy like in the day. So this is where Japanese efficiency comes into place. So for example, there's a sushi close to my hotel, and I wanted to try it one day, but the length of the queue discouraged me completely, because the sushi restaurant was not too big, but it looked like it accommodate around 20 to 30 people at a time. So people are queue outside, and you can see the people dining inside because of the glass of the restaurant. But people queue patiently until vacancy is available inside. Like when people finish, they will leave. They don't sit it down and start pressing their phone and taking granted that people that queue outside. So people eat and they will leave. Another number of people will go in again. And no one was enforcing that people should queue. People just do it orderliness. And number 3, cleanliness and orderliness. Public spaces in Japan, including streets, are remarkably clean with almost no littering. You will learn to respect the environment and adopt habit of tidiness even in public area. So for example, when I visited someone's home, I was not allowed to enter with my shoes. They were placed safely at the entrance, and I was given slippers to wear indoors. Even in public spaces like airports and train stations, I noticed the hygiene is taken seriously. Some toilets automatically change the seat cover and they are warm for comfort. That comes with ingenuity of the country. And number 4, we're coming toward to the end. Efficiency and attention to details. I've said it earlier on, is the reference that I made to the train, because I will leave my hotel. I know that I'm going to take 10 minutes walk, but I will time into the time I will arrive to train station, including the bus, do the same thing. Japan trains and public transport, so even the customer service operate with impressive precision. So the culture emphasizes efficiency, attention to detail is evident in everything. And you can see even the food that you buy in the supermarket. Sometimes I don't like to eat all day in restaurant. Sometimes I pick a pre-packed food, and all those foods you have a choice whether you want it cold or warm. So it's everything. You don't need to put it in the microwave again. And it's well packaged, it's well presented. And lastly, I've also mentioned this earlier, is the work ethic and team spirit. Whether where I stay, people that I speak to, individual own their business, is a one-owned business person. I say having a robot, because it doesn't speak English, so you have a robot that you choose the language, that you support about 3 different international languages, and then it will take you to the section of the shops where you are looking for. It will change the currency for you. So should I talk about you are lonely, you're alone, and you go to Tokyo and you go to the robot coffee shops where robots share some jokes with you. And the funniest thing I also noticed, that you will notice that some of these tourist area, you see people that already retire in their 70s, 80s, they're volunteers, most especially men. They will be helping you packing your shopping into the bag. And I asked one of the man, he was a retired teacher. I said, what are you doing? He said, he's making himself useful. He didn't want to just stay at home. Which is say that he's doing it intentionally, one, to help, to contribute, also for him, for his own well-being. So work ethics and team spirit. Japanese workplaces emphasize dedication, teamwork, and philosophy of Kaizen. What did I mean by Kaizen? So this is a well-known Japanese philosophy that already incorporated in so many major companies in the West. It's called continuous improvement. Some people will call it agile. So this mindset extends beyond work, encouraging personal growth and collective success. So finally, living or staying in Japan offers a blend of respect, efficiency, and discipline. Lessons that can deeply shape your perspective on life. If you ever have the opportunity to visit, I sincerely hope you will take it. It's an experience worth having. So I hope this message helps someone, and until we meet again. And before I go, if you'd like to join my weekly mailing list, please sign up with your email on our website at www.lifeforlivingwell.com. And I promise you, the article you receive is amazing, is inspiring, is uplifting. And if you like to contribute to the community, you can also check on our website or share the website. And I hope that this message helps someone. Until we meet again, please stay safe and have a wonderful week. Ciao.